Hello everyone, this is Senrex here from the Order 66 Hellions, and today I'll be doing a video on how to mod your Padme lineup. Let's get right into it. So first we're going to talk about who this is for. Second, we're going to go over the basic strategy of the Padme team. Third, we're going to talk about modding, the overall strategy. Fourth, we're going to be going through modding individual characters. I have 6 characters listed here. Padme, Jedi Knight Anakin, Ahsoka Tano, and General Kenobi are all required for this lineup, but the 5th spot is typically flexible. Most people will use Grandmaster Yoda or C-3PO. C-3PO is typically considered to be the better option. However, C-3PO is also usable in the Commander Luke Skywalker team, so I'd recommend if you have C-3PO and you don't have CLS, use it with Padme. And if you're C-3PO and you do have Commander Luke Skywalker, use Grandmaster Yoda. Lastly, we're going to finish off with some self-promotion. First, let's talk about who this is for. Anyone who's interested in improving the modding of their roster, looking to increase the effectiveness of a relatively heavily mod-dependent team. Third, interested in learning more about modding. Or fourth, interested in learning about how the Padme squad mechanics work on offense as well as defense. Let's go over the basic strategy for the Padme team. Let's talk about each of the roles these characters may play first. Padme. Padme is going to be healing support. She must be kept alive for the team to function. Typically, whenever Padme dies, your team is going to be quickly ripped apart and you're not going to be able to pull off a win. So survivability on Padme is necessary. Jedi Knight Anakin is the main offensive engine of the team, and he does a mass AoE buff dispel. Ahsoka Tano, she is a secondary offensive engine, and she does buff dispels on basic. Additionally, whenever a character is using their special ability, she's going to be called in to assist, which is a very, very helpful paired with her basic buff dispel. Next, General Kenobi is a tank. He is going to be taking the brunt of the hits, hopefully, so he should be tanky as possible. And he does a mass assist, which can be useful if you have courage left over on your characters, and you can use this to quickly wipe out an enemy. Yoda is support. He increases the total buffs in terms, as well as increasing the overall protection, increasing evasion of the team. C-3PO drastically increases the stacks of courage, as well he gives bonuses through translation and mass assists, as well as debuffs through confusion. Let's talk about a little bit of the basic strategy. So the strategy is basically courage. Stack up as much courage on your team as possible. Target your opponent's most critical support characters first, as these tend to be the squishiest. Avoid characters who are immune to health-based attacks. You obviously want to save characters like Darth Malgus, Darth Malak, Kylo Ren Unmasked, or Kylo Ren for the end of the battle, as courage does damage based on health percentage, which we'll go over later. And lastly, you're going to want to avoid killing characters who attack out of turn often. A great example of this is Count Dooku. Count Dooku is a pretty nice support character, but since he attacks out of turn often, and you have bonus tenacity with this protection up, he's basically only going to serve to increase the protection on your own team, so you are in no rush to take him out, as every time he attacks out of turn, he's going to be granting your team more stats. Let's go through modding the overall strategy. First, we're going to talk about why health is so important. A lot of people don't know this, but bonus protection is based off max health, not max protection. So in teams like Padme, where bonus protection is a huge mechanic, max health is what increases your protection, not your max protection. Second, Padme gives undispellable bonus protection out to allies whenever an enemy attacks them out of turn. So this bonus protection is very important, obviously, as it gives, when your character has bonus protection, you're getting a tenacity boost as well, which is going to help you resist those debuffs. Lastly, Padme converts debuffs into stacks of protection, and those stacks of protection are converted into stacks of courage when your turn starts. This is crucial because the more protection you have, the more courage you get, and courage is going to be the main offensive engine paired with Jedi Knight Anakin. Lastly, to get more protection stacked, Galactic Republic characters grant protection up on special abilities to all of the characters. The overall strategy is to increase the health on your characters to increase survivability. Slower Padme lineups are sometimes better. A lot of people use really fast lineups. Now, this is not meaning that your Padme should be slow. Your Padme should always be very, very fast. But overall, there is no hard speed requirement for characters outside of Padme. In my experience, you want to try and get your Padme over 300 speed, and she will be very good. There's also no specific turn order or Padme lineup, just that Padme should be the fastest. You can finick with whatever you want in terms of turn order, but most importantly is increasing survivability. Lastly, stack bonus protection to stack courage, and use the courage on your team to churn through your opponents quickly. 5 stacks of courage on your character. Whenever they attack an opponent, it'll do 40% of the opponent's max health in damage. So the greater the max health of the opponent, the more effective courage will be in defeating them quickly. Let's talk about modding. First, we're going to talk about Padme. You typically want to use 3 health sets on her as well as a speed secondaries. You could also use a speed set and 2 health mods as well. That's a viable option if you're having trouble getting good speed secondaries on the health mods. Your square is going to be offense percentage. You have no other choice. Tilted square defense percentage as always. The circle, you're going to want health protection to increase overall health, as we've talked before. The cross, you're going to want health percentage or potency percentage. Health percentage, obviously, to increase survivability, or potency percentage to increase the chance that Padme lands her stun on her second special ability. Really, it's up to your discretion. I personally favor the health percentage, as her stun is not all that useful. Although it is undispellable if it does land, I find that even with the potency percentage cross, you're not going to be landing a whole lot of stuns. Lastly, on the triangle, you're going to want health percentage. This is simply because you're going to increase survivability, and Padme is not a great offensive character, so there's no point in having anything offensively minded on her triangle. The arrow, you're going to want speed or crit avoidance. Obviously, your Padme wants to be super quick, so I'd recommend speed, but critical avoidance is actually really, really, really helpful if you have a 25 speed or higher secondary. Because, right, Padme is the main engine of the team in terms of keeping them alive. Without Padme, the team will die very quickly against teams that would usually survive easily against. A great example is the Geonosians. The Geonosians will rip through your team if they kill Padme off, but if not, it's going to be very easy because they keep attacking out of turn. So giving your Padme critical avoidance prevents your opponents from landing massive hits on her, such as a Fent strike from a Geonosian spy that will certainly do her in. If she avoids that critical hit, she will be fine. So critical avoidance is something good to consider if you've got a really good speed secondary, but is not necessary to make this team viable. Let's talk about Jedi Knight Anakin. Jedi Knight Anakin is the main offensive engine of the team. With that being said, I recommend a crit damage set as well as a health set with some good speed secondaries. He doesn't need to be super fast, but you'd like to have a little bit of speed on him. If you don't have a critical damage set, an offense set works just as well as critical damage. I just like critical damage for his massive AoE abilities. We're going to talk about on his square, you're going to have offense percentage. Obviously, it's required. Tilted square defense percentage, again, required. Circle, you're going to want health percentage, as the health percentage is going to benefit the team. And Anakin's survivability overall, a lot more than protection percentage. On the cross, I use offense percentage to boost his overall offense. Triangle, I use critical damage percentage. And arrow, I use offense percentage or speed. Depending on how you're modding your character, you can increase his offense, you can increase his speed, just depending on what you like. I like mine to be my Anakin to be quite slow. So I use my offense percentage arrows as opposed to a speed arrow, of course, keeping in mind to get good secondaries for speed on the offense percentage arrow. Let's talk about Ahsoka Tano. Ahsoka, I use an offense set as well as a health set with speed secondaries. Same goes for Ahsoka. If you want to use a critical damage set instead of an offense set, that's more than fine. You just want some set that's going to increase your overall damage. On the square, you're going to use offense, tilted square defense percentage always. Circle and cross, I use health because she is a squishy character, so it's a little bit more necessary to increase her overall health than it is Jedi Knight Anakin's, because Anakin has more base survivability. On the triangle, you're going to want to use critical damage or health percentage. I recommend critical damage, as she's going to be attacking out of turn a lot and dispelling on her basic, so you want to increase her critical damage as much as possible. And on the arrow, I would recommend speed, as since she attacks out of turn so much, and dispels buffs, she is extremely helpful, but also you want her to go quickly because her special ability offers a heal to the team, as well as you want her going as often as possible because, again, she dispels buffs on the basics. So if you need a buff to spell ASAP, it is good to have your Ahsoka in route. Also important to note, cool thing about Ahsoka is if the opponent has Foresight and you use her basic, she's just going to dispel that Foresight before her basic even attacks, so she will get rid of that Foresight and do damage. Talk about General Kenobi. He is the last member of the core team. I recommend 3 health sets. 3 defense sets is also acceptable, but I recommend health sets with health secondaries. On the square, you're going to want offense percentage, tilted square defense percentage, circle, cross, triangle, and arrow health percentage with as many health secondaries as possible. I would recommend no speed secondaries on your General Kenobi, as since he's taunting whenever someone on your team gets critically hit, the less he goes, the more he's going to taunt. And if he is extremely, extremely healthy, like in this example, your opponents are going to have a very hard time clearing him out effectively. Let's talk about Grandmaster Yoda, our first flexible character. I like to mod him for speed and health with speed secondaries. This is because he's never going to be a super, super, super healthy character, so I don't see the point in putting 3 health sets on him when you could just have 1. And speed's going to be more essential as he's going to be passing around buffs and increasing and giving your team foresight. So if he goes faster, that means that your team can have more foresight on them for a longer period of time and get that foresight more often. On the square, offense percentage, tilted square, defense percentage is always circle, health percentage, because health is going to benefit his kit overall more than the protection bonus would. Cross, I would recommend health percentage or potency percentage. Potency percentage, because on Grandmaster Yoda's second special attack, he has a chance to remove turn meter. So if you increase Grandmaster Yoda's potency overall, he has a greater chance of removing this turn meter. On the triangle, I recommend crit damage percent, as he's going to be using some AoEs as well as some strong basics and special abilities. If you know this, I'm just going to relay this information here. If you attack an opponent with under 50% health, your Grandmaster Yoda gains offense up and critical damage up for 2 turns. So pair this with a crit damage crit damage triangle, and you're going to be looking really, really good. And for lastly, I'd recommend a speed arrow on Grandmaster Yoda, just to get him going a little bit faster. Last character on the list is C-3PO. I recommend a speed set and a health set, as he has no offensive attacks. So essentially, there's no reason to put any offense on him. Although the square, you have no choice. So square, you're going to have to put offense percentage. Tilted square, defense percentage. Circle, you're going to want health percentage to increase his overall health. On the cross, I recommend potency, because this increases the chances that you're going to land those stacks of confusion. So I use a potency cross to land more confusion on my opponents. Triangle, of course, health percentage. There's no point in using anything offensive because he does no damage because he has no offensive abilities. And lastly, the arrow, I like speed. You could also use health percentage. I personally just find C-3PO is more helpful if he's a little bit quicker, so he can apply confusion more often and increase the stacks of translation as well as call mass assists for your team as quickly as possible. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I'm doing free roster reviews, so post your Star Wars GalaxyHeroes.gg in the comments below if you're interested in one of those. Little guild plug as always, my guild, the Order 66 Hellions, is the best guild in the bracket. If you're interested in joining a guild that gets lots of Reva shards, hit me up in the comments down below, and I'd be happy to invite you to our Discord. Thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great day.